Hi, it's been a while. I'm still working on a couple more of those I read blank so you don't have to books, slowly but surely getting through all of them. Emma. But I just thought I would just make a quick little video, go through my Goodreads Read in 2024 collection, and also my DNFs. I actually don't have a lot of DNFs. I hate DNFing books. Just feels like a waste of time. So if it's a bad book, I'll just read it right through the end. But there were a couple of them that I just couldn't get through. This is in no particular order. I'll say whether I like them or not. Maybe give a brief synopsis if I liked it enough. But we'll just get right into it. If you don't know me, my name is Alyssa. I read a whole bunch of books. I read books so you don't have to. And I also read books for my own enjoyment because the books that I read so you don't have to are not enjoyable at all. And I would like to have some books to myself sometimes, you know? The first one I have on my list here is Tender as the Flesh. This book was so good to me. I loved this book. I have been recommending it to everybody. I read it earlier in the year, I think around like May or June-ish, and I still think about it constantly. Like it was such a good book and it sticks with me. I I love like the think pieces. This one made me think and I really liked it. Um I also read The Vegetarian. I can't remember who wrote it. Um but that was also a pretty good book. I didn't really understand it all that much. That might have just been me reading it with reading it in 3 hours sleep deprived, but I the writing was interesting. I just didn't understand it. I feel like if I would have understood it, I would have liked it a lot better. The Rotting Within. So this year I got really into like the horror kind of thriller-ish books. And The Rotting Within was pretty good. It kind of read like a 2015 creepypasta, which I wasn't a big fan of, but the storyline was pretty cool. Another one with the horror slash thriller was Intercepts. I think this one was actually a creepypasta that got turned into a book. I liked it. I liked it for like the gory kind of stuff. It was pretty good. The writing still again felt reminiscent of 2015 creepypasta. Um, but it was pretty good. Stolen Tongues, that one was almost a DNF. I did not want to finish that book. I hated it. But I decided, you know what, I spent money on this book. I'm just gonna read it all the way through and I'm never gonna look at it again. Um, there was a lot of things I didn't like about that book. Um, Once again, it was a very reminiscent of 2015 creepypasta. I think because it is actually a 2015 creepypasta. I think it was posted on like the r slash no sleep Reddit a while ago, and then turned into a book. I did not appreciate that. Um, Not spoiler alert if you haven't read it. I didn't appreciate that the only two or three Native American characters in the book got brutally murdered by the monster. Did not like that. It felt weird to me. Next is She Who Became the Sun. Oh my god, I could talk about this book for years. I could talk about this book for the rest of my life. I haven't read the second book yet. It's coming in the mail. It's on its way. I can feel it in my bones. I loved this book so much. It made me laugh. It made me cry. It made me feel things that I never want to feel again, and it made me feel things that I do want to feel again. I could relate to every single character. I felt connected to every single character. Every character was so well fleshed out, and it was just a beautiful book. And I strongly, strongly recommend it to anybody who really likes historical fiction. Yet again, another horror slash thriller, The Haar. I This book was what made me fall in love with David Sodergren. I really like Sodergren's works. Um, some of them are a little like, ooh, 2015 creepypasta-ish. You could see a theme in what I read this year. But the Haar was like my introduction, and I really loved this book. I had a lot of fun reading it. I imagined the main character as like my own grandma, and that just made it like a million times better. Um, I don't want to spoil any of these books for you. I just want to give like a brief, like, oh, I liked this book. Here's why. But yeah, I really liked the Haar. Strongly recommend it. It was great. And then Hooked, I saw I saw an ad for this book on Instagram, and I was like, this is insane. I have to read this. It's basically a twisted fairy tale, um, dark romance kind of deal. Wendy and Captain Hook, basically. This was not a good book. I don't recommend it to anybody. It was so cringy. I might make a video on that one. I think I might actually. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't like this book at all. It was really cringy. And then another David Sodergren book, And by God's Hand You Shall Die. This one was one of the more cringy ones. I liked it though. It's I don't know. I think Sodergren is a an acquired taste. Definitely. The the religious undertones, I really like religious undertones. I grew up in a very conservative house. And I like seeing a lot of religious undertones in horror movies and horror like works. Just see other people's takes on it. And then I read Mary. This one I had on my list for a very long time. I've had it on my list since pretty much since it came out. And I finally got a chance to read it this year. And this book was really, really good. I really liked it. There was just some points in time where I was a little bit like, mm, did you really need to include this, or was this like a kind of like a fetish kind of thing? You know, I don't know. It was good though. It was really good. And then I read Maggie's Grave. This was also another Sodergren novel. This one I think was the cringiest Sodergren novel I've read. Um, it was again reminiscent of a 2015 creepypasta. Um, I still liked it. I still love Sodergren, but this one was definitely the cringiest one. Sorry, my cat was making a whole bunch of noise out there, and I didn't know what it was. Anyways, and then I read Tell Me I'm Worthless. This one I had on my list for a very long time too. And I didn't like it at all. I was really excited to read it. I had heard such good things about it. And then I actually read it, and it was, first of all, just very confusing, blatantly transphobic, blatantly ableist. Like, I don't know if the author was trying to be like edgy and like bring attention to these problems, but it was done in a very problematic way that I didn't like at all. And then of course Alpha Ruined. How could we forget? It's literally the first video on my channel. And I read books 1 through 5 of the Bridgerton series because my mom got me into Bridgerton, and I wanted to read the books to see if they were anything like the show. They're not, by the way. There are some things that are similar, but I think the show took some creative liberties. I honestly like the books a whole lot better than I like the show. Especially book 3, I think it is. It has a lot of Cinderella undertones. Cinderella is my favorite Disney princess. Um, I think that's why I really liked this book. It had a lot of Cinderella undertones, like going to a ball. She left her glove by accident instead of her shoe. It was, hello. Yes, can I help you? But yeah, it was, I really liked that one. That one really stuck out to me. And then I reread all of the Lunar Chronicles. I read the Lunar Chronicles every single year. I think it's my favorite book series of all time. I cannot recommend it anymore to people, just in general. It is YA, but it's really really good. Like I have been reading it since it came out back in like 2012 or something. And it's just it changed me. You know, people on TikTok or whatever, they talk about, oh, this was my Roman Empire. The Lunar Chronicles was my Roman Empire. I think about it all the time. And then I read The Shadow of What Was Lost. I haven't read the second. I think there's a third book too, but I haven't read those two. I've only read the first one, and I really liked it. It's definitely different from what I'm used to reading. It was like super duper high fantasy, but I really liked it. It was a nice change of pace. And then moving on to my DNFs, I heard some good things about Lolita. Oh, it's this think piece. Absolutely not. I got maybe 10 pages into the book. I couldn't do it. I I don't know I don't know why people like this book. I guess it's like a, oh, I'm intelligent. I read Lolita. You're not intelligent. You're a pedophile. Keep it in the family. Um, I am on a horror book group on Facebook, and a lot of people had recommended this book to me. And so I decided to give it a try. I couldn't get past the first 10 chapters. It was just incredibly poorly written, and like there was no commas, it was run on sentence after run on sentence, and I just couldn't get past it. I know that's like super duper nitpicky of me, but this was like an entire chapter with no periods, no commas, and it made me mad. Negative Space was also a DNF. um i I had this book on my list for a while, and it was just so boring. I don't know if it's just because I hadn't gotten to like the good part yet. But I was falling asleep reading it because it was just so boring to me. Um, if there's any negative space truthers or whatever, um, please convince me to read this book because I want to love it. I just thought the beginning was really boring. Cows. This was another one that I was like, oh, interesting. This would be a really cool read. And then I went to read it, and it was disgusting. And I think it's meant to be disgusting. And, you know, if you like it, good for you. It's just not my thing at all. Penpal, which is another creepypasta made into a book, I made it almost to the very end, and I just couldn't anymore. It was I felt sick to my stomach the entire time, which is how you know like I loved this book. This was such a good book, but I just couldn't finish it because I was it was making me sick. And then Little Stranger, I DNF'd because I was going to read it for a video, and then I realized that there is literally no plot. It's just banging, and I can't make a video about that. So I DNF'd it because I wouldn't read it normally if I couldn't if I like it wouldn't be a thing that I would read normally if I wasn't making videos. But yeah, that is my 2024 reads on Goodreads. This was a shorter video, but I wanted to get something out for the algorithm or something. I don't know. Um, Keep an eye out for my next video. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I do have a couple books lined up, and I am writing out some notes and stuff already. But yeah. Um, say bye to my dog. Hey. Okay, yeah, don't do that. Bye.